product provided by Nintendo. Do you ever just start playing something and you just know that you're in for one of the best gaming experiences of your life? Welcome to the new stuff of Xenoblade Chronicles X Definitive Edition. Everybody, brace yourselves. We're in Chapter 13. Hello everyone, I am Jmulls, and yeah, Chapter 13 is broken up, to my understanding, into 3 different acts. I have completed the first act, which ran me about an hour of in-game time, which may not seem all that long. I hear the other 2 acts are very long in comparison, or just at least longer. And I know it may not seem that long, but like, oh my god, I feel as if we've gotten half a game's worth of development and plot progression within just that 1 hour. That 1 hour in Chapter 13 felt way longer than just a single hour. And I mean that in every positive way that I possibly can. This is some of the best storytelling, the best pacing, the best execution, the best choreography, some of the best character moments in the entire game. And I just started the new stuff, right? Like, Act 1 of Chapter 13 is essentially just putting all the pieces on the board for the rest of Chapter 13. And it's been excellent so far. Absolutely excellent. The only bad thing I can say, the only critique I can levy is that don't know if I agree with the voice acting direction for Vandom.
For the time being, the effects are localized and the expansion has been limited.
I understand you probably couldn't get the original VO because it's been like almost 10 years. I get that, that's not an issue to me. The voice just doesn't match for me. We don't need to dwell on it though. There is so much to unpack here, and my mind, ever since I started Chapter 13, had been racing a mile a minute because there's so much. Now, I will do a bit of a victory lap. Not a full one, just a bit of one. I totally call the fact that when we went from Earth to Mirror, we hopped to a new universe/dimension. I called that a while ago. And who knows, maybe pending some future plot reveals in the rest of Chapter 13, maybe more of my other theories could pan out to be true, but I feel pretty good about that one. There's a lot that kind of blindsided me, though, in a really interesting and cool way. I am glad the focus is on Elma's partner, now called Aloise Burnhold. I think this goes to show, and I think Aloise is one of the best examples of Monolith's greatest strength, characterization. I've known this dude for about 60 minutes. Feels like I've known him the entire time. They just get how to make people fall in love with characters. It's one of their strengths. It's something they're just very good at. He was teased at the very beginning of the game, but largely wasn't talked about throughout most of the original experience, but he's a main, pivotal, central character in Chapter 13. We get a lot of dynamics and interactions with him and Elma, also Lynn. We learn his backstory. We have a nice little, tea chat with Lynn where she tells us a lot about Aloise Burnhold as well, which not only serves to flesh out her character and her backstory, but also reveal Aloise Burnhold's character and backstory as well.
So you see, Lynn, that's what makes you part of my big, fat, happy family.
And I think one of the best ways that they're able to make this feeling of falling in love with a character so fast is by making use of each scene to further develop a character or reveal something interesting. And it's largely never just focused on revealing one element, it does multiple things. When we first met Aloise Burnhold in Noctilum, he was not only this big personality and this big character by himself after we've seen him go one-on-one with the Vita in Ares Prime, but we get the interactions with him and Elma, and him with everyone else as well. And when they do flashbacks, this is something they really started to do with Chapter 13, and I've really come to appreciate and love them. They have these flashback images. Maybe a cutscene would be too awkwardly paced, or just be out of the budget, or just for whatever reason they couldn't do a full cutscene. They have these, pieces of art they cycle through. Very similar in style to how they did it in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, with the flashback sequences when they were constructing Origin. They do that again a lot in Act 1 of Chapter 13, and I think it works so well because, one, the art is absolutely beautiful, but also, it's showing, not just telling. You are telling me all this information, you are telling me all this backstory, but through the simple act of showing me key images and visuals from these locations and from these times, from these characters interacting with each other, it allows the emotion to come through in a far more natural way that is far more engaging and compelling than if these characters were just sitting down talking. We just saw their facial expressions and animations. They weave both in, and it makes it work because of that blend. I already have essentially a firm understanding of how every character interacts with Aloise Burnhold. Elma and Aloise clearly had a special connection, but she also blames herself for the fact that Aloise was in such a predicament to have possibly died to begin with. She never got over that. Characters like Gwyn were just like too new to have ever really interacted with Aloise, and only heard of him as like pretty much legend. He was too much of a rising star and just blew past everyone else. And I think what Aloise does so well is essentially fulfill the role of us, but being able to talk, because we kind of replaced him at the beginning of the game, in essence, on Elma's team. Even though he technically was on an Elma's team, the vibe is clearly there, that we were kind of replacing his role with everyone else. And I'm interested to dive into his affinity quest just to see the dynamics between the MC, like the player character, and Aloise specifically. Now, it could just be a fun pet name, but Aloise does call Elma Princess, so I wouldn't be surprised if a future plot reveal is that Elma was like the princess of her society or something. There's so much to talk about when it comes to Chapter 13. Oh my god, dude. They fit so much in just an hour, and you know me, right? My brain loves to theory craft Xenoblade, and I got so much out of just that one act alone. I think one of the best words to encapsulate Chapter 13 so far is constant. It never lets up. It's reveal after reveal after reveal. It just keeps going, dude. We get introduced to the Ghost, the other faction that was warring with the Ganglion that caused the destruction of Earth. We finally get to see them, and just how menacing and powerful they are, but also how fundamentally different to the Ganglion that they are. They are, in essence, the universe's corrective measure, and to use the words of the game, ghosts are an omen, harbingers of doom. They attack everyone indiscriminately. But you not only have the ghosts, you have the dematerialization events, which remind me a lot of the start of Xenoblade 3. Be interested to see if they hone in on that connection. You not only have the return of Ares Prime alongside Aloise, who is essentially built up to be the hero character, like his division in Blade is just hero. He is like the MC guy. He is, if this singular individual did not exist, humanity would have ceased to be long ago. He is that pivotal, he is that important. Not only do you have all of that, mind you, again, this all fits within like 1 hour, you get Elma's backstory, at least a good chunk of it. Her home planet also got caught up in a war against the Ganglion, who came to invade her because her people are also descendants of ancient Sumerians that we learned in Chapter 12 are essentially like kryptonite to the Ganglions. That war goes to a stalemate, in comes the ghosts, Elma's world is wiped out, she is able to take and is essentially tasked with the mission of taking the Ares to go find humanity, who are the last descendants of ancient Sumerians. Further building on the idea and fleshing out that story reveal in Chapter 12 from all those years ago, that it was Elma that came to Earth to warn us of the Ganglion, to warn us of this war that's coming to us, and to put pretty much humanity's technological evolution on turbo. And just speed it up exponentially so with the Ares and with skull technology. All in the hope that we will be able to live out the other end of all these events, but Earth is destroyed either way, and now that same phenomenon, that same war is coming to Mira as well. And again, there's even more. It's honestly a little bit overwhelming just how much there is in Chapter 13 so far in the introduction. Enter Void, who is the big antagonist as of right now at least. He is the universe ender. He is the guy who created the Ganglion, who created the Ares Prime. And he's a bunch of bad news. If he beats you in a contest, you'll just wipe out not only you, your entire universe. Because, oh yeah, plot twist by the way, it wasn't just Earth that was destroyed, the entire universe was. But in the energy fiesta that was the destruction of our universe, we were able to utilize that alongside the Ares to essentially, by a stroke of divine luck, jump ship to another universe that Mira's in. Again, building off that idea and that plot reveal from Xenoblade 2, didn't think I'd bring that one up, did you? Where Klaus revealed it's a multiverse, because portals to like other worlds started to open up during the Klaus flashback in Xenoblade 2, maybe they're connected here. It is absolutely crazy all the stuff they cover. Because the dude comes in like it's Independence Day on this giant airship that just hovers over the world now throughout chapter 13. It's a great visual. Like the man on ship just like taking up to 11 pretty much. And the mission for the rest of chapter 13 is being set up to be, we just have to get out of here. We are way out of our league when it concerns not just the ghost but also Void. Our best bet is to reacquire the cores of the Ares and then find a way to just jump universe again and escape it. There's a part of me that is a little bit concerned that the culmination of the storyline will just be the destruction of Mira, when I was so fascinated by unraveling the mysteries of Mira with the end of chapter 12, where they set up that this world is something different, there's something going on with this world. If it's just wrapped up in chapter 13 to be, yeah, so Void came by and the ghosts were here, Trap was kind of screwed up for us, whole universe got nuked, we got out of there though. I would be mildly disappointed. It would kind of depend upon the execution, but there's so much story left, dude. Like, of the 3 acts, I am told Act 1 is the shortest, and that Act 3 is even significantly longer. Who knows what awaits me? But I'm so interested, I'm so compelled by what is going on here. The storytelling, the pacing, the choreography, and all the fight scenes, especially in the stealth scenes, are just so good. I think this is some of the best storytelling and best pacing Xenoblade X had in the entire game. Honestly, I'm borderline tempted to say the series. That's how highly I view Chapter 13 so far. And like, the potential for where this story can go is borderline infinite, because who knows what happens. They can just be setting up whatever. By confirming that there's multiple universes, not only in Xenoblade 1, 2, and 3, but also in Xenoblade X, theoretically that opens the door that if you ever want to connect these two storylines, you can, if you really want to, or you can just keep them separate if you want to. And there's so much interesting things they just kind of tease, like the Bible quote Elma just decides to spit out. I'm not even sure if it's a Bible quote, she just starts spitting.
And the 6th angel sounded, and I heard a voice from the 4 horns of the golden altar which is before God, saying, to the 6th angel which had the trumpet, loose the 4 angels which are bound in the great river Euphrates. And the 4 angels were loosed, which were prepared for an hour and a day and a month and a year, for to slay the 3rd part of men. Sound familiar? You might have heard it in some shape or form.
My mind is racing a mile a minute when it just concerns that quote specifically and what it could possibly symbolize. The best bet, because they kind of go in this direction and say it, is that the ghosts are the angels. The follow-up question I would have is, then what does the 4 symbolize? Because it says the 4 angels were loosed. And is the great river Euphrates where the ghosts come from? When I first experienced Chapter 13, Act 1, because of how similar the aesthetic was in my mind, I viewed Void to be on the side of the ghosts, but rewatching the cutscene from Act 1, I don't think that's the case. Void is like on the side of the ganglion. The ghosts are just like their own entity. And we're being caught up in this war again, essentially. We find ourselves in the middle of it, with a much more central role. But like, going over that verse, my mind was just like, okay, Golden Altar, could this be the Conduit or the Zohar, the 4 angels? Could this be Numa, Logos, and then Alpha and A? Oh, the line, slay the 3rd part of men. What could the 3rd part of men be? Could the first part be those who remained on Earth and were split by Klaus? Could the second part be those who are on the outside, Xenosaga? Could the 3rd part be the White Whale crew? Who's the 6th angel? Could it be Klaus? Could the 4 horns also just be Numa, Logos, and then the 2 Ontos? I think the far safer bet is just what we talked about earlier, ghosts being the angels, Great River Euphrates possibly being where the ghosts come from. I'm sure they're gonna unravel and like build up on that, and then if I come back to that after beating all of Chapter 13, I imagine more pieces will fall in line. It's just fun and interesting to think about. It's just really nice to have more main story for Xenoblade X. It really is. And for it to be this high quality, to be this interesting, it just feels really good, but it also fills me with a bit of a sense of despair, because I don't want this to be over. Because it's not like I have 40, 50 hours of a story left, I don't. And I know that once I beat Chapter 13, that's going to be the end of it for probably like 2.5 years until we get another Xenoblade title, whatever that could be. So there's a part of me that's just like, I don't want this to end because I'm enjoying myself so much. I'm just so utterly fascinated by everything going on, though, that I want to play more. And it's great to be able to feel that from a game. And I love that little reveal where Void could just hear us all and just reply to Vandom, and Vandom's like, how can he hear me? I just found that really funny. There's a lot going on in Chapter 13. Like, it's a lot. And I talked about before that I'm like, I don't see how you can properly address everything that Xenoblade X ended up with all those years ago in just one extra expanded story at the end of the game that Definitive Edition was advertised to have. But if you have this pacing, and they step their game up this much, well then who knows? I imagine some of you do who already played the thing, but I don't. I think Chapter 13 has me with one single sentence just floating in my mind repeatedly. I just love Xenoblade. And with that, I'll call the video there for the day. Thank you all for tuning in. My pleasure for making the video. Leave a comment down below with what your favorite part of Xenoblade X has been so far. Your favorite little moment. Was it a mob you fought? Was it doing a certain side quest? Was it something in the main story? I'd love to hear your thoughts, hear your stories, and hear your perspectives. And while you're down there, please leave a like and subscribe. It really helps the channel out and helps support future content, and I greatly appreciate it. Stay safe, have a great day, go play some video games, and I'll see you all next time. Bye bye everybody, until we meet again.